Tip number 8 of 10 is tell stories. Yay! Whether you're writing a self-help book, a journal, or even fiction, obviously fiction is built off of story. But for those of us who are mental health professionals or helping professionals wanting to write our first book, story makes the difference.
I wanted to talk about something I was noticing last week, and it's an ongoing issue in working with millennial and Gen Z generations. Maybe you actually relate to this. Do you actually take compliments when you receive them? Do they actually land? If not, this video is for you. So this first video is a series of introducing the tools of our Financial Therapy at Your Fingertips workbook. And so this intro video is just a quick overview of what financial therapy is and what you can expect before we take a deeper dive into the tools. So what is financial therapy? Well, financial therapy is a professional service that helps people have a better relationship with their money. So we look at the thoughts, the feelings, the behaviors, we look at your past, we look at your present, and we look at your future. And that is really empowering for a lot of folks to be able to look at all angles of their money story and what it looks like to have certain behaviors attached to money. Like 5 months goes pretty quickly when you're working on other projects in addition to the team being offloaded. Yeah. So let's talk about the emotional part of this, because this is where I reached out to each of you individually and it's like, I'm getting hit by some grief that I didn't expect. And that's why I reached out to Kathy and then to Alex and to Ashley going, oh my gosh, you're all telling me you're doing this. I'm like wanting to cry every time I think about the transition when I first made the decision. So my decision I've been thinking about for almost 2 years. I implemented it in July. As soon as I fully went from like contemplation to like preparation and action, think of stages of change. It's pretty quick for me to say, here's my notice. Let's give it to the team and like get the ball rolling. But once that decision was made, the grief hit. So anyone willing to tell me what their grief looked like to like normalize this for folks?
Right. These are very direct versus are you thinking of harming yourself, hurting yourself? That feels a little bit like we're skirting around it. Not to mention a teenager can say, no, I'm not thinking about hurting myself. I'm thinking about dying. Right. So we need to be very clear with them so that they're not potentially misrepresenting what's happening for them. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. So direct questions matter. Let's address the myth. If we ask about suicide, are we giving someone the idea? That is a complete myth. That's not actually what's happening. If someone feels suicidal and we ask about it, it actually brings them a sense of relief because now they can talk about it. Now they can talk about the deep, dark thing that's been happening. If suicide is not part of their experience, they are very comfortable and very quick to say, nope, not part of my experience. Let's move on. So by no means is asking about suicide a way of giving someone the idea. I know our community members really fear this, so I wanted to address that here. Balance over burnout is like flossing. What the heck do I mean by that? The idea is that with flossing, you have to learn how to do it. It takes some skill, and it definitely takes some intention and daily practice or weekly practice to do it well. To learn how to prevent burnout, you also have to put in that same time and energy. Right? It takes that practice, that intention, and learning some skills to do it correctly. So maybe you're like this guy on the left that has this like panic face in this image. It's like, oh, I can't do this. This is horrible. But with this training and hopefully some of the other work you're doing, we're going to move you along that spectrum to the woman on the right and hopefully feel more comfortable and confident with your burnout plan. You don't want to experience burnout. As you learned today, it's not that fun. And some of you have already experienced it as well.
Yeah, that's just how we work. So I love that we captured that on video, and viewers, you can laugh along with us here. Like, oh yeah, she called me on some real stuff there. So what I wanted to reflect back to you before I ask you kind of what your intentions were in that role as supervisor. What I really appreciated in this role play is that you didn't automatically go to take time off, which I think is another knee-jerk reaction, just like massages. Like you either get a massage, or you take a vacation, or you take time off, which, yes, everyone deserves time off. I think you and I can agree with that. However, some of our supervisees feel financially strapped, where to take time off actually adds stress on one side of their life. Or like creates more problems versus solutions because now they're just like fixating on the lost income or everything they have to catch up on when they get back. So I think that was important for me to name in this video of like, I really appreciate that you didn't automatically go there because I don't think that suggestion lands well for everyone.
Nothing else can be put on the list. But Khara, I can do way more than 10 things in 6 months. Yes, you can. But should you? Or is that busyness yet again driving you to keep full and to keep going and to keep busy? The professionals who embrace this exercise recognize that they're more focused, have more purpose, have more drive, and accomplish way more by being productive because they're not distracted by busyness. They actually get more done with less. So if you try that exercise, I can guarantee that you'll see a shift. Your second strategy is to say no more. No more and no more often. Think of all the things people ask of you. Are they asking for your time, your energy, your money? Are they asking for help, for overtime at work, for help on a project? Think of the things that they ask. And now let's craft our no's to say no more often. No is a complete sentence. You've heard this before, but for so many busy professionals, it's really hard to say no. No, thank you. Check back next week. I'm available next month. How do we craft those no's that are authentic, real, and allow boundaries against busyness? That is what I want you to consider as your second strategy. How do we say no? Your third strategy is to redefine self-care. Now I get it. Self-care is something therapists love to talk about. Talk about it all the time. You're seeing it on social media everywhere. Some of you had a hard eye roll as soon as I said the word self-care. And I get it. So allow me to redefine self-care because you all have an image pop up that I can almost guarantee was commercialized. What do I mean by that? Well, some of you are thinking manicures, pedicures, and vacations, massages as your self-care. The luxury of the rich, if not in time, in money. And guess what? In COVID, a lot of that wasn't even accessible. People weren't even doing self-care, if at all, because it felt like a luxury and then it was omitted as we were all home.